Okay, head on over to the Springfield Green Party table, and if you're not registered to vote, you can do that there. Our next guest will be very familiar to kids and adults across the Ozarks. While he first found his love for science brewing beer, he realized there was something lacking in the science classes he'd attended. He decided to do something about it. He obtained his BS in chemistry education from MSU and a Master of Education in STEM education from Concordia University. He's been teaching chemistry and physics to high school and middle school students for over 7 years, currently at the Summit Preparatory School. In 2014, he and his wife started something special, the Professor Powers Science Symposium. It's a nonprofit organization offering science education opportunities for kids and adults. He firmly stands up for putting evidence ahead of bias, as well as the importance of challenging our own opinions if the science behind them does not hold up. And he's here to talk to us about just that. Please welcome Professor Rob Powers.
Thank you all for coming out today. It's kind of cold and rainy, and I appreciate you all braving the weather. I'm here to talk about, I guess, beer, science education, and racist uncles, I suppose. So, my big thing is, here we are today marching for science because of recent developments. We're all concerned about how science is being used politically. We all, I think, agree that policy should be based on scientific evidence. We shouldn't be using science as a tool and, you know, cherry-picking things that we like that go along with our points of view. We should be using science to base our opinions upon. And so I just wanted to start off by just sharing a little bit about myself. I started off with, for my love of science, it began learning how to make beer in my 20s. And as I was making beer and as I was learning about how fermentation worked, it just was endlessly fascinating. It was so cool to learn about all of the different things you could add to a beer and how you could change the alcohol content, or how you could change the bitterness, or how you could change, you know, various aspects of the flavor depending on temperature, depending on sugar content, depending on what kind of hops you put into your brew. It was so cool. And I got more and more into the science. And as I did, I just got geeked out to the max. And finally, I asked myself, science is so cool. Why didn't I know that science was this amazing back in my high school days, or sooner? And so I made it my life's mission to try to show kiddos how cool science is. I don't advocate giving kids beer, but I do think that kids should have their own beer moment, like I did. They should have something that happens in their lives that encourages them to further explore how amazing science is. And I think one of the coolest things about my job, and right now I work with kids that are as young as 3 on up to age 18, and the neat thing is, kids just naturally love science. One of the things that they love, I think, is that you can give kid a cup of vinegar and a cup of baking soda, they combine them, they see this amazing chemical reaction, which quite frankly I still think is amazing. But they think that's so cool. And then you can have this wonderful conversation with them about what they think is going on. And then they can further that study. And they can get a deeper understanding of things like chemical reactions, of limiting reagents, things like that. But the ball is in their court. You give a young kid some things and let them explore, they have the power of discovery. They have the power to ask a question and follow it through. And so for me, that makes my job the best job in the world. I get to help these kids explore and discover things on their own, and they have a great time with it. And so I couldn't be happier with where I'm at in terms of professional. But what concerns me is something happens over time. I have never seen a kid not like a science experiment. But somewhere along the line, people grow up, their beliefs become entrenched, and they drift away from science. They stop feeling connected to that process. And I don't know what the solution is to that. I have no solutions to offer. But I do know that there are some things we can do. We're all here today because we support science, we support research. I'm I'm fairly sure we all view science as a way that we can further our quality of life. And I think we all probably have friends or relatives that don't feel that way, for whatever reason. And so I've spent years trying to figure out how can I convince somebody who does not accept the evidence that climate change is actually a thing and is caused by human actions. How do you convince that person? I still have very little idea, but I can tell you what doesn't work. I know that it doesn't work whenever you show that person graphs. That person doesn't care about the graph. It doesn't work when you talk about data with that person. It also doesn't work if you show that person a picture of a polar bear on a little tiny piece of ice. They don't care. But in my personal experience, what does work is if you can communicate to people about what is happening to them in their lives and on the local level. You can talk to people about how our waterways are showing increases in mercury content because of burning coal. You can talk to people about drought. You can talk to people about fish populations. I have an uncle who loves to fish. Him and I have talked many times over a beer, Coors Light, that his choice, not mine, although it's not that bad. But anyway, we've talked many times about climate change and all this stuff, and I could never convince him about climate change. I could never convince him about the damaging effects of fossil fuels until we did start talking about fishing, because he loves to fish. And I showed him an article in the news leader that had come out about how some species of fish out of some waterways in our local area are not safe to eat because of the mercury content in the fish. That convinced him. Anymore today, whenever we talk about coal power, he is firmly against it because it's affecting something in his life. So ultimately, whenever we have these discussions with our friends and our family members, we have choices here. We can talk about things that will not convince them. We can talk about the graphs and the latest data and talk about how we have seen these unprecedented levels of carbon dioxide and increases in global temperatures, and that will have little or no effect. But if you talk about their personal lives and you have a respectful discussion, grab a beer, have some fun, eat a steak together or grill some hot dogs and talk it out in a nice, meaningful, respectful way, that's how you get results, and that's how you get people to see your side. And so I'm going to keep it short and sweet here, but I do want you guys to think about, how can you meaningfully engage people who do not accept scientific evidence? I'm sure you guys are mostly convinced, and here we are standing on this cold day and freezing our butts off, and I think we all understand the difference between weather and climate. Maybe you could have that discussion with somebody else, right? So I'm going to leave it at this, but I thank you guys very much for coming out today and supporting science overall. It's been a wonderful day.